Are you dialing in from Jersey at the moment?
We're in Atlantic City as we speak. We just played New York City last night. The new Pier 17 venue is amazing. Everyone needs to go see shows there as much as possible. It's right under the Brooklyn Bridge, out in the water there. What a blast from the past for us. We came out of New York, so from that perch, that rooftop where they have the venue, I could pretty much see all the scenes of our crimes from the late 80s, early 90s when we were coming up there. It was really pretty magical.
How many songs from the new album did you play last night?
We did 2 last night. We do about 2 a night, and we're starting to incorporate more of them. The 2 that have been coming home pretty hard are Funky Bitch and Ball and Chain. But more will be revealed as we get out and start adding them. But those 2 have been going great. We got pretty cool versions of them for live.
It's great to see a focused album from you that's also a blues album. Obviously, the name, people have always had the complaint of Blues Traveler, where's the blues album? This was the blues album. Did you know outright, hey, we're going to make a blues album? Or did it just start happening when you were in the studio picking out songs?
No, well, what happened is we literally for over a decade, we've been saying we need to make a blues record.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, the name of the band in high school was Blues Band. And when we started out, the kind of the improvisational kind of immediacy of blues was what turned us on about music. And we could create these moments that were new every time we played them. And that's what the blues, you know, that's what the whole blues form is. It's the same chords, really. It's all about how you play them, the what happens in the moment, the intensity, the emotion. So that's what turned us on about music. But we had so many varied interests, and you know, so we started out at blues, but as we got better players, we traveled on. And strangely enough, that goofy name actually, it kind of works. But at the foundation, we were always a blues band. I just think back then, I don't think we could really do a proper blues record. In any case, we've been talking about it for years, and we had just done a studio record 2 years ago of all originals, Hurry Up and Hang Around. So Corona hit, you know, and it's like for everyone, at first we thought it was gonna be a month, then 2 months, and then we're like, well, we'll be going out in the summer. Sure enough, no, and we're like, I guess we're in. And right at that same time, Round Hill Records, which has a huge vault of blues licenses, thousands of them, we started talking to them, and it just, at first we were going to do a studio record, and then we realized this is the perfect opportunity. And you know, to do an all original record, it takes a kind of organic steam and motivation to kind of come together. And we had just done that a year, you know, 2 years previous. So that just wasn't in the cards. The opportunity to play all, like, kind of reinvent and get back to that just fell in our lap. So like most things with Blues Traveler, we kind of just try and follow the muse as much as possible. So all the elements kind of came together. And I'll be honest, it was so great to kind of get back to that music we started with. My catchphrase for press is it's the blues album we always wanted to make, but couldn't till now.
Got it. When I call it a focused album, I compare it to, say, Blow Up the Moon, which had its great moments on there, but you were coordinating so many outside collaborators, different genres. It's not to say the band lost itself, but it was a while going, is this the supernatural Carlos Santana album equivalent of Blue Traveler or not? And then you get this album where it's stylistically clear, yet you have the collaborators that you had, the caliber of collaborators that you had on the Blow Up the Moon album. So it's kind of like you combine the last 2 albums in a good way. Yeah.
I mean, Blow Up the Moon was just once again, it was the muse. It was just a funny, you know, sometimes you're not ready to just dig in the studio and do, you know, all the you need to be emotionally prepared for that, you know? Sure. And so for that, Blow Up the Moon was cool because it was just fun, and we just traveled around and knocked out these different takes. This one literally was so focused because it was, we set out to keep it blues, not mess around, not add a lot of fancy notes. We played it, we tracked it live, kept it really like, I mean, for me, all my solos are done live at the moment we did them. I didn't even really overdub much of anything. It's all pretty much one instrument, not a lot of overdubs.
Yeah.
And then the guests, we gave the guests all these great templates to work from, and it was just keep it in the genre. So, you know, maybe we'll next original studio record we'll listen to our advice and keep it focused, or maybe we won't. You never know.
And this is album number 14. Not many bands make it to album 14, let alone don't break up before, say, album 7. So Blues Traveler's always been very consistent. I believe you're the only member of the band that doesn't have an outside side project. Am I correct about that?
Well, we all do different things. I mean, I play with a band in Los Angeles. I sit in with a bunch of people, so I do other stuff. But Blues Traveler's got plenty, and it gives us the opportunity to try and do all the other little fun things we want to do. It's more of a, you know, to survive 34 years now as a band, Blues Traveler has to kind of be its own, you know, has to be amorphous so it can kind of shift and change and everyone can do the things they want to do. I think, you know, going back to Blow Up the Moon, the fact that we try all kinds of different crazy ideas, I think has probably kept us invested and kind of engaged with the creative process. Sometimes it's horrible ideas, sometimes it's great ones, but we'll try anything once. Sure. Sometimes twice, unfortunately.
Or in the case of the Horde tour, which I thought was excellent and is extremely undercredited. Everyone talks about how Lollapalooza changed the touring model. I always thought that the Horde tour did, because you introduced a lot of alternative artists, the 120 minutes MTV generation of artists. You kind of brought them forward in an amazing way. The bands like Soul Coughing and Cake. I believe Primus was on there one year as well.
For sure.
So I look at,
and 311 was a great band. Horde was kind of interesting because it actually was Horizons of Rock developing everywhere. It was really a bunch. It was us, Fish, Widespread, Aquarium Rescue Unit, and the Spin Doctors that first year. So it was all kind of jam bands of that East Coast scene from the early 90s. And then, but very, very soon after, we started adding all kinds of kind of cool alternative bands. It became a very eclectic thing. So it really, I think, helped solidify that there is this vast music scene out there beyond what, you know, the irony is after about 4 or 5 years of that, we got hits on mainstream radio. But at the time, it was really kind of the outsiders all joining up. And from jam bands to like Soul Coughing, it all worked. And 311 too, you know.
Ben Folds 5, I remember, was a second stage band early.
Sheryl Crow, everyone was on that thing.
You had Sheryl Crow and the Black Crowes. Not many things get both crows like that.
And Smashing Pumpkins. You name it from that era. We were on it. Lenny Kravitz.
And I could see the influence of that festival. There's a thing that pops up every summer. There's usually one package tour that's playing amphitheaters that you go, that's clearly the Horde tour. I think 2 summers ago was the Feel Good Festival, the Allman one. This one, it's a 9/11 themed one, but the Horde tour really made an impact on that. Is there any interest in the band of eventually bringing it back again? Because I think the last one was 2013.
Yeah, well, we tried it 2013, but we kind of rushed it. It was someone else's idea, and we've tried bringing it back. It's such a beast to kind of put the whole thing together. So every time we start thinking about it, we something comes up and it makes it just too onerous a task, and it'll take us away from what we're doing with Blues Traveler, what we're doing with our lives, what we're doing with our kids. So we're just waiting for that moment. People bring it up every year, and I'm sure at some point we'll bring it back to life.
Fingers crossed. Well, back to giving you endless compliments here.
Don't worry, I love them.
14th studio album. That itself for most bands would be the be all end all. But in the case of you and Blues Traveler, not many bands get to open for the Stones. Not many bands get to be in movies. I remember that outro to Kingpin. Great stuff right there.
Kingpin is our claim to fame.
One of the claim to fame. H.O.R.D.E Tour, as we just spoke about, you know, most bands would dream of having one amphitheater tour, and you did multiple headline package tours like that. Headlining Madison Square Garden, I remember 97, They Might Be Giants opening up for you guys at Madison Square Garden, New Year's Eve, 97, 98. So
that was a huge thing, for sure.
All these accomplishments, is there anything that...
Don't forget SNL, that's a big deal.
SNL is also...
For sure, that was on my highlight reel.
All the VH1 number ones, because at that time you were more of a VH1 band, and in turn you got the behind the music. But is there anything that Blues Traveler hasn't yet accomplished that you're still hoping would one day happen?
Well, we always said when we were starting out, we want to be the first band to play in space. So I guess that one's still on the table.
Blow up the moon is not just a clever title then.
There you go. I mean, listen, the cool things we've gotten to do, as I always tell people that when they ask, like, how are you gonna stay on the road? And I'm like, the more I do it, the more I like it. So I'm endlessly grateful for the people that have come out and support us, my other bandmates, all the people that we've worked with. It's amazing. You know, I never used to take our longevity that seriously. Like, it just was what it was. But, you know, now maybe it was the Rona year and getting actually only a pandemic to get us off the road, but it gave me a little perspective to really appreciate just what a gift it is, and how thankful I am about it.
The last thing that I'm super curious about here, before I let you go and enjoy the casino or whatever it is that you want to enjoy.
The beach. I'm hitting the beach.
Okay. Yeah, the beach is good out there, surprisingly. Okay.
Jersey Shore is all nice.
Yeah. My wife's
We're a Jersey band after all.
She's from Belmar, and she used to go to the Princeton Record Exchange and, you know, Red Bank High School. Yeah. It's all local. So the last thing I'm curious about is when I first found out about Blues Traveler, it wasn't the hits. It was that John, as a virtuoso harmonica player, was what captured a lot of people. So you were a virtuoso band, and you have always had great solos, but you're next to a virtuoso. So therefore, even though you're awesome, you're you're not a guitar hero. But
John is amazing. Oh, go ahead with the question. Sorry.
But what I'm curious about is I could never figure out if you had a metal past to you, or you were actually mature and started on the blues. Like, for example, was there any Kiss or Van Halen in your vernacular as an early guitar player?
Any guitar player loves some Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen. To be honest, I began playing punk rock and new wave when I was like 11. That was the music I loved. And then I saw Alvin Lee play when I was like 13, play I'm Going Home at Woodstock. And that really just catapulted me into learning about blues and learning about scales and improvising. And but as a guitar player, I think we're all fans of metal. I mean, Rust in Peace is one of my all-time favorite albums. I just listened to that a couple weeks ago.
Wow. I never would have pictured that. Now, I know music is music, but you and Megadeth in the same sentence, I just not...
Dude, that album is probably the height of human endeavor.
Yes. Marty Friedman and Dave Mustaine, you don't know necessarily who's doing what solo per se, but was there ever almost a side project from you that was like a metal thing? Because a lot of bands have done that where the guitarist plays the opposite of what they play in their day job. Like, for example, going really extreme here, Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit. When he's not in Limp Bizkit, he's composing on Moogs, and he does very artistic songs that go for 22 minutes long, obviously because it's the opposite of his day job. I was curious now, you don't have a true side project per se, but was there ever a metal thing for you?
Well, for me, I had 2 young kids, and so when I'd come home, I would try and be Mr. Mom, would be my focus.
Got it.
But they're grown up now, or getting there. They're pretty close. So I've got, I live in LA, and I am friends with a lot of metal musicians, like the real deal metal musicians. So it's crossed my mind to take do a more hard rock endeavor. So we shall see. But dude, I would love to play more metal. Problem is I have very broad interests in music. So probably anything I get involved with would be kind of eclectic. But and my hero is Jimmy Page. So I'm far too bluesy and kind of sloppy like Jimmy Page to play the precision metal that it would require. I like a little hair on my music.
I appreciate that really honest answer, but looking forward to seeing you live in New York when the time again comes. I had to miss this great gig at the Pier, but glad to see that there's been no slowdown from you or the band. Keep them coming, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. That's my middle name, by the way, so nice call.
Your middle name is Darren?
Chandler Darren, quote unquote, Kinchla.
So I've learned Megadeth fan, that's your middle name. The learning stops.
The onion keeps peeling. The
Well,
layers keep unraveling.
Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy that beach there in AC, man.
I also am a huge Olivia Rodrigo fan, so let's go. I do love me some power pop by Pretty Girls.
So you said power pop, so I was going to go, oh, is he a Super Drag fan? But no, you said the Pretty Girls part.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shan. Have a great rest of the day there.
Peace, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, Darren.
Paltrocast.